Sure, good afternoon, students. We'll be speaking about one of the biggest names on Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino is known for his movies and for his script. He has an famous reputation in Hollywood for his violence and for the crude and humor it has in his films. We'll be discussing about him briefly, and we'll be giving out our point of views on his cinematography and about his script, his characters, the films he has made. We'll give our opinion on himself, and I'll be making a set of questions, and they will be giving me their point of view and their thoughts on Quentin Tarantino. To start off, Mauricio, why do you think Quentin Tarantino is such a polemical director in Hollywood?
Okay, Quentin Tarantino is one of the most triumphant American filmmakers. He has become known for his unusual and sinister criminal films. His signature aesthetic of violence and long sequences of dialogue between the characters. Uh, for me, he is a polemical director because he tries to make movies that himself would want to see. One of his quotes that I think resume why he is so good as a filmmaker says, if you just love movies enough, you can make a good one. I mean, could Hollywood even exist without Quentin Tarantino?
I really like that you did the research on his quote, and I have to agree with you. Hollywood is marked by Quentin Tarantino, and he has made a new wave of movies, and a lot of his movies have influence in recent movies. And I think he has a big name, and yes, I agree. He has got a lot of bad attention, but um, Carlos, I'd like to ask you what differentiates his style of direction and script from other directors.
Okay, so Quentin Tarantino's writing style is a huge part of what has made him so successful. Tarantino uses the camera as his most powerful storytelling implement. In his style of direction, Tarantino stages wide shots. His wide shots let you take in every detail of the world he has built for you. When it comes to script, something that makes him very special is for love his music. And it's also been told that he writes his scripts around the music, not the other way around, where most directors write the scene, then pick a playlist to fit that scene. He does it everything around. So yeah, I think that's what makes him special.
I totally agree with you. I feel music and his scenes they all blend together. I can see the influence of the music of the eras in a lot of the scenes, and mostly the music make iconic scenes like in Pulp Fiction when John Travolta is dancing. We can see and hear the music. We can feel the era. He sets the music, and it makes the whole scene special. And I totally agree with you. And Fernando, do you think the fame he has it's worth? Is he in the right place? What do you think?
Okay, so I think that nowadays the effort he has made since he began his career, it has been a long way of effort, and he surely deserves the fame he has today, and it's probably worth more. But because he has many awards like Oscar awards for directing, but not for the dialogue. So I consider he should deserve more fame that he has right now.
Indeed, he came from below. He used to work in the record store and he used to sell CDs. So that's why he got into movies, and that's how the influence of a lot of movies can be seen. He worked in a CD store. So yes, he made his way up, and I think he deserves more too. I think his movies has to be seen with other eyes, and people should try to enjoy them more instead of trying to find things that are wrong on them. Carlos, how do you feel about the excessive violence swept in the movies? Is this a good or a bad thing?
It's been said that excessive violence a big influence in kids and that it makes them more prone to be bullies, like to pick fights, or have an aggressive attitude, and so on. But I believe it may be false. I think it totally depends on the way parents raise their kids from the beginning. No, I personally think the violence in the movies are great. I believe they're really close to realistic, and there are many people that don't like the violence, and that's their right. But I think the violence in Tarantino's movie makes it special and entertaining to watch. It's hard to fall asleep in one of his movies, so I think that's some another special thing about his movies.
Yes, totally. They're entertaining. The violence is made perfectly and it's placed perfectly in throughout the movie to not make it dull. And Mauricio, Quentin Tarantino is known for changing America's history events massively, or even in the slightest. What do you think personally? That's the best example of this.
Uh, as we know, he is behind some of the most iconic movies on recent times, like Pulp Fiction, Django Unchained, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But in rewriting history, some movies that rewrite historical events are Inglorious Bastards, that tackles World War II, Django Unchained, that takes on slavery, and I like to add one more, that is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes, totally. We can see a slave owning his own masters and taking vengeance on them. In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we can see the massacre of Marilyn Manson being stopped by a group of actors. And in Inglourious Bastard, we can see Hitler's death. He is undoubtedly changing small things and massive things, but they are yet entertaining and they fit perfectly to the movie. He doesn't make it stupid, he makes it smart and clever. Engel, what? How would you define Quentin Tarantino style in your own words? Why would you define it that way?
Well, in my opinion, for me, Tarantino's style is a fast-paced style. Uh, he really likes to compose violence scenes, but not necessarily in the sense of bloody scenes. Although we know he likes bloody scenes too. But when I refer to Tarantino style violence, I mean to close-ups, pannings, camera movements, because he really likes the close-ups of the actors. And a clear example of Tarantino style are his dialogues. He can build a whole presentation, a scene for a character in which they're talking about anything, and through the conversation, you can see why each character is the way he is and the way he acts. Um, in an example of this too is Reservoir Dogs, the first scene. When they're talking about like a virgin of Marona, each character talks on its way. So here you can see how the characters are, their way of acting, and how they're going to unfold throughout the movie. So in the resume, for me, I think it's a fast-paced style.
Yes, I totally agree with you. With the characters, they are really set throughout the dialogue and the script. I really like that, and I really like that you point that out. Fernando, um, what do you like the most about his movies, and why do you like this the most?
Okay, so one of the best parts I like from Tarantino's movies are the action, right? It's an iconic like a genre that it distinguishes him from all the other directors, and I probably like this because in it has many actors and all the actors have their roles, right? And he gives the information through dialogues, not by stating the whole information at the beginning or at the end of any character. So probably that's the thing that I most like from his movies.
Yeah, that's really nice from you, and I really like that you took that out from his movies. But throughout all these movies, Engel, what what movie do you think is the most iconic from him? Why do you like it so much?
Well, in my opinion, the most iconic Quentin Tarantino movie uh, is without any doubt Pulp Fiction. And let me explain why. For me, Pulp Fiction is his most iconic film because it has all the conjugation of the Tarantino style. Because there is violence, there are characters, exploration dialogues. Um, there are many resources that Tarantino uses for his films, such as diegetic music, extra diegetic music, a lot of things that you can go noticing throughout the movie. That when you see it, you really know that it's a Tarantino film, and it makes you the reference. And that's another big thing about him because Tarantino is a director of many references. He's a revival director, and he's known because he brings a lot of things that were left behind in the past. For example, westerns, noir, nouveau vague, and all these things. So for me, I think um, his most iconic film is Pulp Fiction, with any doubt.
I to- I agree with you. And in one word, what would you change of his movies to all of you guys?
And personally, I wouldn't change anything. How about you guys?
Well, I agree. I really won't change anything about his style and his films.
I think this is a very difficult question because I either like all the things that Tarantino states in his movies.
Yeah, me as well. I liked all his movies, and it's really hard to point out some. I'm not a director, so it's kind of hard to point out something I would change. So I would keep it the same.
But if you were a director, would you like to work with him like an actor or a director? Why would
I'd like to work with him. I think it would be great, not only for the experience, but in the long run, it could help me out with more jobs, more movies, and more money, I guess.
Yes,
I
I
totally
think
agree.
Lasso it's correct. Like working with Tarantino, I think as a beginner would be perfect for you and your career.
We all
Yes.
can
Yeah,
agree. Yeah, we
yeah,
all
and
can
also
agree that
because
we'd
he,
like to work with him. He's an amazing director. He has set his own
yes,
style to Hollywood, and I'd like
yes,
to conclude this with that Quentin Tarantino is an amazing director, and we all conclude that, right?
Yeah.